On indulgence, the Manager Opposition Business.
Just a matter involving the whips. For the benefit, a large number of members who have been paired have been raising that they wanted their names recorded in Hansard as pairs, as an indication that they wanted to be here. And I think the whips had a fair bit of trouble stopping some members of parliament from being here and getting down to the required numbers. That's right, the reverse of what we normally expect whips to do. I wonder, and members don't all need to stay for it, but so that it gets recorded in Hansard, I wonder whether on indulgence you could allow the government whip and then the opposition whip to read the names of the pairs into Hansard, so that in good faith we've made that point clear to them.
Yeah, I think that's a good course of action. I'll grant indulgence, first of all, to the Chief Government Whip.
Well, thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. And on indulgence, yeah, I did say Mr Speaker. Oh, sorry, Mr Speaker. Sorry. On indulgence, firstly, I'd like to thank the colleagues on both sides of the chamber who have contributed to making the chamber work today and by their absence. And I'd like to acknowledge those members and put their names on the record. So, the member for Aston, the member for Haslutt, the member for Dixon, the member for Swan, the member for Forrest, the member for O'Connor, the member for Canning, the member for Moore, the member for Herbert, the member for Barker, the member for Hume, the member for Dawson, the member for Groom, the member for Gray, the member for Robertson, the member for Capricornia, the member for Sturt, the member for Lyne, the member for Moncrief, the member for Bennelong, the member for Banks, the member for Flynn, the member for Parkes, the member for Malley, the member for Leichhardt, the member for Mitchell, the member for Braddon, the member for Bass, the member for Monash and the member for Curtin. To all those colleagues, Mr Speaker, I'd like to say thanks for their cooperation, for assisting their colleagues and the House in general, and I know also I'd like to acknowledge the Chief Opposition Whip and the colleagues on the other side of the chamber who've also assisted in this process, and thank them for their forbearance and assistance. Thank you. Okay.
And I call the Chief Opposition Whip.
Thank you, Speaker. I too would, on indulgence, would like to thank the following members for their cooperation, allowing me to provide pairs to the government and to accommodate the social distancing arrangements as applied in the House today. I named the following members as the member for Cowan, the member for McNamara, the member for Barton, the member for Griffith, the member for Holt, the member for Spence, the member for Bendigo, the member for Corangamite, the member for Franklin, the member for Isaacs, the member of Richmond, the member for Cooper, the member for Eden Monaro, the member for Bert, the member for Brand, the member for Robinson, the member for Lyons, the member for McEwen, the member for Dunkley, the member for Blair, the member for Parramatta, the member for Moreton, the member for Gilmore, the member for Sydney, the member for Kingston, the member for Greenway, the member for Lingagowrie, the member for Patterson, the member for Jagga, the member for Caldwell and the member for Lilly.
I thank the Chief Opposition Whip. The Chief Opposition Whip.
And the member for Dobell.
Thought there was one more.